G'day everyone and welcome back to another live stream here at the Australian Reptile Park. Now I hope you've been enjoying these videos, whether it's the live streams or Animal Tales with Tim Faulkner. Make sure you keep tuning in throughout the week. Lots of fun. Now I know everyone's kind of stuck at home right now, so we're bringing our animals straight to you, your lounge rooms or your computer rooms, whatever, or on your mobiles. And I've got next to me, like, who doesn't know about Hugo? Hugo would be one of the most famous tortoises around the world, and of course Hugo is one of our two resident male Galapagos tortoises. Now, got to preface the whole male part because some very exciting news to the reptile park. We've had two male Galapagos tortoises for a very, very long time. Hugo actually came to Australia in 1965, so a couple of years after my parents were born. So I've been here for a very, very long time, and just recently, you might have seen it, but we announced the arrival of a beautiful female Galapagos tortoise. Now, she actually came from a zoo over in Germany, Rostock, Germany. She arrived here just a few weeks ago, and very soon, probably in the next 2 or 3 months, she'll be introduced to the main park area. And after all those years of waiting, Hugo will be introduced to Australia, which is really exciting for us. Now, a lot of people will immediately think we're going to have lots of baby Galapagos tortoises. Look, there's a lot of work in terms of breeding Galapagos tortoises, so give us a bit of time, but it'll be great to see Australia out here next to our big stud, Hugo the tortoise. Now, I did say he came to Australia in 1965, so he's been here for a fairly long time. He's obviously one of the most special animals that we do have here at the Reptile Park, which I'm sure you could see by getting that camera up nice and close to his beautiful face. And he's going to live for an extremely long time. At the moment, he's 70 years old, but Galapagos tortoises famously can live up to 200 years of age. So they're extremely long-lived animals. When they hatch out of an egg, they're about the size of a nectarine, and then of course they can grow extremely large. Now, a Galapagos tortoise can reach weights of approximately 300 kilograms. That is massive. Hugo, you're not quite that heavy yet. Hugo weighs around 185 kilograms from the last time that we weighed him. So plenty of growing to do, but he's got plenty of time to do it. Now, to be honest, Galapagos tortoises do everything quite slowly, whether it's just moving around throughout the day or even feeding. They'll spend about 80% of their day eating now when they're actually out of their huts or out during the day. And we're going to give Hugo a little bit of food in a couple of minutes, so that'll be really fun to watch, watching Hugo kind of chow down on some of his favourite types of food. Now, we like to keep the diet quite varied. Now, predominantly Hugo will feed on grasses. We'll also cut native some browse like mulberry or hibiscus, but also too we'll supplement with things like endive, which is a really healthy green feed, lucerne hay, and the occasional treat. And I have snuck a few treats onto his plate today. I've snuck in some squash and a couple of bits of carrot as well. Now, they are quite slow moving, I got to be honest. But in saying that, there has been a couple of bites from Galapagos tortoises here at the Reptile Park, all on staff. They can be quite cheeky. I've got to be honest though, if you get bitten by a Galapagos tortoise, so there's no way in the world I'm going to trust you working with Elvis. They do move quite slowly. And whilst they don't have any teeth, they do have quite a serrated beak. You'll be able to see that. And they do have a pretty fearsome little bite. And that serrations that you can see line down the entirety of the beak enables them to cut through what can be quite dense vegetation at times, particularly things like lucerne. So we'll get some close-ups of Hugo. I'm going to walk over that way, grab his food, plate, bring it back, and you're going to eat lots of food and stop trying to bite me, okay? Hold up there, 2 seconds.
And we're going to be asking Dan some questions later on, so send them through in the comments now.
All right.
We'll give Hugo a little scratch.
Here we go.
All right.
So this is our plate of food for the day. So as I said, I tried to make a little smiley face. You can see that because Caitlin was worried about my food presentation today. Anyway, we've got some carrot, as I said before. That's a bit of a treat for him. We only generally feed them a couple of 100 grams of vegetables like that every couple of days. Typically, we like to keep it nice and green, nice and healthy. Also on the plate, we've got some lucerne, a couple of bits of squash, and as I mentioned before, some endive as well. But look at the way Hugo immediately picks out his favourite type of food. Anything that's orange, whether it's carrot or sweet potato, he'll definitely go for that. Now he's going to munch down on a large piece of squash as well. And you can see how easily he actually gets through the squash with that serrated beak. The food's got a fair way to travel down that very long neck and of course down into the stomach. But as I said before, Galapagos tortoises in the wild will spend about 80% of their day foraging and moving around for food. Predominantly they'll be feeding on grasses and woody plants, but yeah, they do spend a lot of time eating. Now, Galapagos tortoises, they're obviously not endemic to Australia. In Australia, we do not have any native tortoise species, and they're found in the Galapagos archipelago off the coast of Ecuador in South America. Now, there's a whole range of islands that Galapagos tortoises are found on, and there's approximately, well, there was 15 different subspecies of Galapagos tortoise. Unfortunately, 3 have gone extinct in recent times, or fairly recent times, which is quite sad, and that's because of the overexploitation of Galapagos tortoises from about 1593 right through till the mid-1958 before they were fully protected. So it's quite sad to think we did lose these animals, but thankfully now that they are protected, a lot of conservation work going towards the protection of these very unique animals. Now, there's lots of turtles and tortoise species found right around the world, of course, but nothing really beats the giant tortoises. So you've got the Galapagos giant tortoise, and on the other side of the world, in the Seychelles or the Aldabran Atoll, you've got the giant Aldabran tortoise too. I've been very fortunate enough to work with both species, and obviously Hugo has a very, very special place in my heart. Now, in the next couple of months, we will be introducing a female tortoise to Hugo, and I guess tortoise reproduction is always quite interesting. Now, to be honest, they are what's known as a fairly inefficient breeder. Typically only like 1 in every 50 mating attempts will be successful. But if they are successful, a female tortoise will lay a small clutch, maybe 4 to up to 15 or 20 eggs at a time. Typically they'll drop those clutches in different spots at times as well. So fairly small clutches, a fairly long incubation period as well, about to 150 to 180 days, where the young tortoise will start to emerge from the egg after that. But hopefully here at the park we'll be able to breed Galapagos tortoises. There's been a few institutions in the Southern Hemisphere that have been able to breed Galapagos tortoise in captivity, which is really exciting, and hopefully we'll be able to do that as well. But it's going to be lots of fun just watching Hugo be able to interact with a female tortoise after all this time of living the bachelor life here at the reptile park. Now, you can see, whilst the camera's right next to his head and he's feeding, there's a few things that really make turtles and tortoises so iconic. And the main thing, of course, would be their really large, their shell, which is obviously fused to the part of their body. It's fused to the vertebra. The top part of the shell, which the camera's on now, is called the carapace. The bottom part of the shell is called a plastron. Now, what's amazing about the shell of a turtle or tortoise, and particularly turtles, the shell started to evolve around 250 million years ago. Now, tortoises aren't as old as turtle species, but it just goes to show how long these animals have been on the planet for. But not so much for the Galapagos Islands. The Galapagos Islands are only about 3 million years old, and then obviously Galapagos tortoises did make their way there, and obviously that's where they've been and then moved across to various islands throughout that region, which is quite incredible. But turtles and tortoises, they have been on the planet for an extremely long time, and it really is up to us guys and you guys at home to help save these animals out in the wild. A couple other things. Look at his club feet. Big, strong, thick, what we call columnar shaped feet, perfectly adapted for their life on land. And when we try to tell the difference between a turtle or a tortoise, it does get quite complex to a degree, because really they are all just turtles. But typically a tortoise has this dome-shaped shell, really large club-shaped feet, again perfectly adapted for their life on land. A little bit different if you look at a freshwater turtle from Australia, they have webbed feet, or if you look at a marine turtle, they again have flippers, perfectly adapted for their aquatic lifestyle. Now he's being cheeky, he's got through all the good stuff, and now he's looking at me going, where's the rest of it? You need to eat your greens, mate, you do, you really do. There you go, focus on this bit for a minute. All right, got any more in there? As you can see, he doesn't move that quickly, but he's showing me right now that he wants me to go find him more squash and more carrot, which is really cool. Now, I get to look after Hugo every single day. It's one of the best parts of my job. I get to look after some really cool animals. Hugo, the Galapagos tortoise, Komodo dragons like Kraken, Elvis the crocodile. But my favourite thing in the world is turtles and tortoises. So to be able to work with Hugo every single day, well, I couldn't imagine doing anything else, that's for sure.
So Dan, how old is Hugo?
He's 70 years old, so 70, it sounds old, He's almost as old as Dean over there on the camera there. But he's going to live for a very, very long time. Galapagos tortoises can live approximately maybe 200. So he has a lot of time left on this planet of ours, which is quite incredible. Many, many keepers after me will be looking after Hugo, which I think is pretty amazing. I like to think that one day, I don't have any kids yet, but one day my kids will come, and then their kids will come, and their kids will come, and they'll still be able to see a tortoise that I used to work with, which I think is really incredible.
So you said that tortoises are built for the land.
Yep.
Can they swim as well?
Yeah, they can. So they can actually float from island to island, which is quite incredible. There's a really famous story in our Dabran tortoise, which travelled an extremely long distance from island to island, which is quite incredible. Not all tortoises can float. There's a couple that can't, but majority can. And of course, all of our turtle species perfectly adapted to the water.
How long can they go without food and water?
Extremely long time. Now, this is one of the reasons that they were exploited so much, particularly by whalers. You know, you're talking about 1500s, and people would travel to this region, collect these tortoises, and be able to sustain them on a boat without food or water for an extremely long amount of time. And then they'd still have fresh meat available without any care towards the animal. And that is one of the reasons we did lose so many Galapagos tortoises in that period. In fact, Hugo could probably not eat today for a couple of months. You wouldn't even notice much of a difference. Same with water. We actually do not see Hugo drink that often. And when we do, it's really exciting. They love fresh water, and he was having a really big drink this morning. So it really dependent. So they can go fairly long periods of time without food or water, and that's a lot of reptile species, not just giant tortoises.
What are his other favourite treats?
His other favourite treats are probably, he loves hibiscus flowers. So if you find some hibiscus in the neighbour's garden and pinch it without them knowing, bring that in, and they definitely love the flowers. Mulberry leaves are certainly one of their favourites as well. Whenever we get the tortoises mulberry, you'll see them actually move really quickly to get towards the mulberry. Besides that, very occasionally, not often, we might even sneak them a little bit of watermelon. Now, watermelon's obviously quite sugary and also too just really water, and we won't give them that food very often, but it is something they will get really excited about. So that's a little treat once a year or something like that, maybe on his birthday.
How does he keep warm in the winter?
How does he keep warm in the winter? That's a great question. So what we do with our tortoises, they've got a really nice night den that they'll go into, which is heated year round. So if you look at the climate of where Galapagos tortoises are found, typically the daily temperature reaches around 30 degrees or higher. Obviously it gets a lot cooler than that in this part of New South Wales. So what we do is we provide them a hut. So the tortoises will go inside and outside of the hut, and the hut's set at temperatures like they would find in the wild. And you'll watch the tortoises thermoregulate throughout the day, so they will move around quite a bit, but we do like to keep them nice and warm at night so they don't have to worry about this New South Wales chill that we experience sometimes.
How does he sleep?
How does he sleep? So typically they're a diurnal animal, right? So they're active during the day, then they rest at night. Not too dissimilar to, we are primarily diurnal, or most people that work during the day, you go home and sleep at night. Not much different for a tortoise. So the daily life of a tortoise is really around finding food, which is pretty easy if you're walking around and just eating grass. Finding food, maybe finding a mate, drinking water, and then resting at night and conserving the energy at night as well. Not that they use and conserve as much energy of a mammal the same size, but they can't be going 100% of the time, 24 hours a day. So they rest at night. They're active during the day, and obviously because they're diurnal species, finding food and foraging is much more advantageous for them during the day rather than at night.
All right, Dan, one last question. Do you think that Hugo is excited to meet a stroller?
Oh, you know what? He's lived the bachelor life for a very long time. He's quite familiar with a few of the rocks inside this exhibit, so I'd imagine he will be pretty excited the first time I'll promise you one thing, he'll be more excited to meet her than she will be to meet him. That's for sure, because he hasn't seen a female before. She has been housed with males before, so it won't be anything new to her, but it will be new to him. And obviously it's been really important to the reptile park to be able to do that. It'll allow Hugo to show some other naturalistic behaviours, which is really good. For the team at the park, it's probably one of the biggest achievements we've had, having her come over, and I can remember in the last couple of years anyway. So we're all really excited. I remember the night she arrived, I was this close to crying. I was actually there with Caitlin. We had a very long night. Estrella turned up on the back. We brought her back from the airport, and it was a really emotional time for the keepers and the staff to see her finally arrive and know that very soon she'll be out here. And that's for you guys as well. Obviously, once we're open, all you guys that want to come back and visit, you'll be able to see Estrella, which is really cool.
All right, let's say goodbye to Hugo.
All right, Hugo. Thank you so much. All right, we're done. Good. Thank you, guys. Well, I really do hope you enjoyed that. I know there's a lot going on in the world. We keep saying it, but we hope these videos are keeping you entertained. It's a lot of fun for us to be able to show you some of our favourites, and of course, we cannot wait to see you back here at the Reptile Park very soon. Now, there's a few things going on as well. For those people in New South Wales that have your Discover vouchers that aren't going to use them or don't want to use them, we've got a great program online where you can actually donate that pass to charity. Visit our website, reptilepark.com.au, to learn more about that. There's another video tomorrow, Dean with his devils. So Ranger Dean will be talking all about our amazing Tasmanian devils on our live stream tomorrow. So make sure you tune in for that at 2 p.m. And there's plenty more videos throughout the rest of the week. Hope you enjoyed that. I can't wait to see you back here meeting Hugo up close and personal in person. And I hope to see you all soon. Thanks for watching, guys. Cheers.